today to our fifth and final scholarship hour. Delighted to have you all here. Just to remind you, I suppose, once again, that the session is being recorded and will be available on the National Forum website later today. If you would like to have subtitles available to you, you can turn them on at the bottom of your screen. As you've known, all week we've had Esther Blodo with us doing graphic illustrations, and she's with us again today. This session is going to be just a little bit longer. We have a closing session where we're going to just reflect for a little while at the end of the scholarship hour, so we hope you'll stay with us for that. But for me, I'm now delighted to introduce our chair for today, Professor Paul McSweeney from UCC, our National Forum board member. Thanks, Paul. It's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Terry, and welcome everyone virtually, at least to the east wing of the main quadrangle in UCC. And I must say, the Vital Week really has been a wonderful week, Terry, hasn't it? I've been running around the place to all sorts of different activities on campus. Indeed, I was up and down to Dublin during the week for the launch of the Next Steps report. And, you know, one thing that really jumped out of that report for me was that teaching and learning thrives in an enabling culture. And I think, you know, the culture that we're developing nationally as a community of scholarship in teaching and learning in higher education really is going to prove us very well for the future. So to welcome everyone to this scholarship hour, which will give us an opportunity to share teaching and learning scholarship, enhancement, innovations, and various findings and insights and other exciting facts. And hopefully maybe prompt some further conversations amongst those who teach and learn in higher education. So it's my great honor and privilege to chair this session today. And we'll have a series of themed Gasta lightning talks, which I'm really looking forward to that. And each Gasta speaker will deliver a 5-minute lightning talk. So we'll see how that goes. And all will be supported, encouraged by our Gasta Master today, Dr. Tom Farrelly, who's joining us from the Kerry campus of Munster Technological University. So without further ado, I'll hand over the reins, shall we say, to Tom. So Tom, off you go.
Paul, once again, another sartorially elegant chair and lead off from UCC. So you're certainly setting the standards there in what I think some people still call it the real capital, but that's another day's debate. Anyway, once again, I'm delighted to be here on the final day. Hard training. I have pre-hydrated extensively this week, and it's really, really important. Once again, I just want to acknowledge that everybody has done a great work. There's lots of people behind the scenes have done a great job, and all the Gastateers. It's, you know, as I said, I'd be nervous. And as I said, I should really reassure them and say you shouldn't be nervous. But of course, you should be nervous because it's Gasta. And there you have it. But look, and serious message though, as I said, and I keep saying it, please contact them. These people are just giving a quick shout out. So what I'd say is, you know, contact the people if you're interested in participating in something, acknowledging the work that they're doing, or whatever else you feel that you can make a contribution. It really is that. So I said I won't be waiting, I won't waste too much time, but just to say to everybody again, we'll do the countdown. We'll shout Gasta, the person that's 5 minutes. When they have 10 seconds to go, I'll just tell them they have 10 seconds. When the 5 minutes is up, I will tell them it's Hendo 3 Carhay Cuig, and everybody shouts Stod, no more Gasta, and that is it. 5 minutes means 5 minutes. So they said we've had all of these versions of lightning talks, but I can assure Paul, this really is 5 minutes and no more. So without any further ado, our first presenter is a good friend of mine, Claire Gormley from DCU, the peer observation of teaching, the perfect project. There's some great names for projects this week there. So as I said, we'll just start. Oh, excellent. She's all ready to go there. So we'll just start off with that. We'll just take it nice and handy. There's no reverse counting or anything here. And I'm delighted to see Claire McAvinia has prepared. She does know left from right, which is really, really important. But we won't even start to do that yet. Okay, so if we're all ready, and I have to get my own clock ready. My apologies here. Of course, live TV, I should have been ready with my timer, and I'm ready to go. Okay, so are we ready? Hands up in the air, everybody. Ahain. Ado. Atri. Akahar.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for this. And I'm presenting this work today. My name is Claire Gormley, and I'm presenting this on behalf of my colleagues Fiona Reardon and Sharon O'Brien of DCU. So we're going to start with a little trip down memory lane. Think back to those early days of your childhood. Every so often, you might remember when you were in school having a visit from an outsider. Do you remember the Kigara? The Kigara, the school inspector whose very presence made the teacher visibly nervous. The Kigara would arrive with a big case. They'd sit down the back of the class, they'd listen to our manglings of the I'm sure Katja, and they'd take copious notes. Us kids would always know that we had to be on our very best behaviour while the Kigara was in town. For many of us, this might have been our very first introduction to observation of teaching. But thankfully, the project we're going to talk about now is quite a little bit different to this. The Perfect project, which receives SATL funding from the National Forum, is a peer observation of teaching initiative. It involved academics from DCU School of Applied Language and Intercultural Studies and academic developers from the DCU Teaching Enhancement Unit. In this context, peer observation of teaching is viewed as a collaborative partnership between two or more academics who observe each other's teaching and offer each other constructive feedback. Academic developers facilitate the process and offer their feedback also. Participants use this to reflect on their teaching based on what was observed and their colleagues' feedback. It's entirely voluntary, confidential, and bi-directional in nature. Its ethos is developmental, and it's very deliberately not used to evaluate performance. In DCU, peer observational teaching is used as a professional development tool for lecturers to draw on and share expertise in teaching practice. The goal is to offer professional development for busy academics in an authentic and collaborative manner. So here's an overview of how we approach the process with the 5 stages shown on screen. We spend time explaining the approach and its underpinning principles at the start. Key to the process is a discussion about what areas of teaching participants would like feedback on. For example, they may want feedback on the way the module is introduced, the assessment approaches, the types of learning activities, and the level of interaction. The location is also a matter of choice. Peer observations can be done in person and/or in the online teaching space. So having run a number of iterations, we wanted to gather some data on what was happening. So for the Perfect research project, we wanted to find out the extent to which peer observations of teaching are an effective, authentic, and collegial professional learning approach. Our findings, which relate to a fully online cycle, were very positive, affirming, and we think interesting. Participants seem to view this as an opportunity to engage in professional learning that's authentic to their context and supports the development of collegial relationships and further dialogue. These findings are drawn from reflections and focus groups which were thematically analysed using Brown and Clark's thematic analysis approach. So to share some specific examples of project impact, academic participants said that participating in the project helped them reconsider their assessment strategies and also provided opportunities for reflection. Some who had done both face-to-face and online observations said they found it more efficient in the online environment as there was no hassle getting to and from rooms, although some, it has to be said, missed the hustle and bustle of a physical classroom. At the school level, the project raised the profile of peer observation as a tool suitable for all career levels, and it was also said to be particularly welcome in the pivot online. Were there any surprises? Well, to paraphrase the late Princess Diana, the academic developers involved wondered if it might be just a bit crowded, with 3 people in the mix for each triad. But actually, in this case, the data revealed that the TU presence was said to be necessary and valuable, in this particular iteration at least. We were also surprised about the number of participants who said they'd have welcomed more peer observation sessions. As one person said, would love to do it more than once. The more observation and observee opportunities, the more learning and reflection. Obviously, this raises questions in terms of sustainability, which we'd like to explore further. So if you would like to find out more about this approach, including a scoping literature review, a podcast, and a comprehensive user guide on peer observation of teaching, please do check out our dedicated page on the Teaching Enhancement Unit website at the URL shown. So I hope this sums up our approach perfectly for you. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the staff who got involved in the project and share their experience. It's very exciting about the marathon. I could have gone on.
Oh, I know.
Well done.
Absolutely. See, and it just shows everybody I'm good friends with Claire, but I have no favourites when I'm wearing the Gasta Master hat, and that's it. So
No mercy.
Absolutely. Well done, Claire. And as I say, you kicked off the final leg here. As I said, I think people are starting to feel the burn. There's water stations along the way. If you need them along the way, it's really, really important. So well done today. Okay, so I'm going to move out to a colleague of mine. So Derek Oakley from MTU. And as I said, and I keep repeating to people there, as I said, don't forget to reach out to people there if they're doing sort of interesting projects here. Okay, so if Dara is all ready and correct, we'll do. Now, as I said, Claire McAvinia, well done. You have, no, I hope you're going to turn that into an OER. I liked your tweet. So that's going to be a really, really OER. So okay, so she now knows L from R. Okay, we're all ready. We're going to go a hain on the left, and then we'll move forward. Are we ready? A hain, a dome, a tree, a car, a cool,
Gasta.
Thanks very much, Tom. Thanks, everyone. So my name is Derek Oakley. I'm from Munster Technological University, Department of VIT&L in MTU Cork. And just to note, as a Corkman, I talk very fast at the best of times, never mind a virtual Tom Farrelly hovering over my shoulder. So if at any stage I'm incomprehensible completely, someone might please let me know. So I'm here to talk about the use of e-portfolios as a tool for supporting work placement. So to begin with, obviously something we'd all be aware of is one of the big benefits of e-portfolios is their flexibility. And as identified in literature, it's a system that can be implemented across the whole institution, but which is flexible enough to meet diverse needs, and it allows for greater flexibility, and it can be revised, transferred, navigated, edited, so on and so forth. Another element of flexibility with ePortfolios also is their usage from a student perspective. They can be formative or summative. They can be used for assessment, evidencing, reflection, for developing critical thinking skills, reflection skills. And then they can also allow for a variety of media and methods, including images, text, video, audio, etc., especially given the prevalence of smartphones nowadays. And Lambert and Karen also identify some useful approaches from the point of view of assessment. So e-portfolio assessment can be through academic integration via the curriculum, where ePortfolio is linked to summative or formative tasks, prompted, where it's used outside academic elements, for example, by career services, learning development, academic advisors, or they can be self-managed, where students are essentially given access to use the ePortfolio system however they want. And I'd encourage you to look at DCU's excellent loop system to see some of the potential approaches there. So what we were interested in with a view to ePortfolios was as a means to address standard challenges in traditional kind of pen and paper work placement. And some of the challenges identified included a lack of contact with students from the start of placement to the end of placement, a lack of updates from students as a result of that, limitations on what can be evidenced or presented due to, for example, handing up a Word document at the end of the work placement, and all of that leading to quite a rigid format for students to provide feedback or evidence their experience or offer valid reflection, so on and so forth. And all of those challenges obviously are particularly relevant given the challenges faced by staff and students with COVID and the move to emergency remote teaching. So as an alternative approach, we in TEL identified that we could use the e-portfolio system along with our VLE Canvas, and in particular the Canvas smartphone app. So what we involved was 2 classes of tourism and hospitality students who were requested to use Canvas and Portfolium to document evidence of work placement, primarily learning journals, reflection, and they were encouraged to use a variety of media to reflect on and evidence their placement. In terms of the findings, we got generally feedback from students was quite positive with the view to the flexibility and the availability of the portfolio, and negative feedback was mainly around kind of technical issues, the user interface, and the additional clicks students had to do to get into the system and upload stuff. Educator feedback was a bit more positive. They identified a lot of benefits from a teaching point of view, but they also noticed the middle ground of using the VLE features to manage placement, as opposed to giving students kind of full autonomy to use the ePortfolio however they wanted. So there's kind of a bit of a trade-off there. From a quantitative perspective, students identified that their overall experience of using the system was good, but it was quite mixed. They identified the ease of use of the system, again, was something kind of a mixed bag. The availability of the system kind of scored quite well. And again, the use of the portfolio system to support work placement was, again, something of a mixed bag. From a qualitative perspective, they felt what worked well was the availability, the flexibility, and what worked less well was the user interface, the kind of user experience, so on and so forth. Recommendations for improvement primarily related to more training, more guidance. But the other key element which leads on from this as well is an area that we're actively investigating. It's the ability to continue to use the e-portfolio with a view to use after graduation. So the notion that students could combine evidence of elements like their work placement experience, their digital badges, their assessment submissions as a way to better evidence their abilities and present employers with a more comprehensive graduate profile afterwards, which might look something like this. So in conclusion, here's my references. Here's where you can go to find out more. Here's Tom Farrelly, Gasta.
Well done, Dara, and absolutely bang on time again. So you're taking away the fun, even though you're a colleague. So we there, no, well done. Okay, I am mindful of the time. So we're moving from Cork up to TU Dublin to Nevin Birmingham, presenting the 4Cs model for implementing peer-assisted learning.
Okay, Tom, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Nevin Birmingham.
I'm going to stop you there.
I take away your phone on the countdown.
Absolutely, that's the whole thing.
I'm so eager.
Well, do people think Nevin should lose 20 seconds because of that? Yeah, I get a lot of thumbs up. Yeah, getting a lot of thumbs up for there, Nevin. So I think that
I can do this. I can do this.
No bother to you. Okay, as I said, we started off going to the left. We're going to start off going to the right, and then we kick off. And then Nevin, you better be good now. I tell you, pressure's on. Okay, hands up in the air, everybody. Get them up. On the right, a Hain.
Hey, a go. A tree.
A
car.
A
Koi.
Gasta.
Yeah, I'm really sure you slowed that down for me there. But anyway, I'm going to go with my 4 minutes. Folks, hello again. My name is Nevin Birmingham. I'm a lecturer in computer science programming, among other things, at TU Dublin. And what I want to present today is the outputs of a 3-year action research study on peer-assisted learning. But before I get into that, just on a personal level, I started lecturing about 9 years ago, and computer coding, I pretty much started teaching the way I was taught, which is I taught what all lecturers did. And what I found was students found this subject particularly challenging. Coding is one of the most challenging subjects you can have in college, and one of the most failed subjects. And it got me thinking to a space where most lecturers don't like going to, and that is, where am I going wrong? And as soon as I got to that space, but where I'm going wrong, I began looking at possible ways to help my students a little bit more. And what I came across was something called peer-assisted learning. For those who you may have heard of it, but those who haven't, peer-assisted learning, or PAL for short, is based on the supplemental instruction model. It's been around for about 50 years. And basically what it is, it takes former students who are have done the course already, brings them back, they run regular tutorials with the current students, but these particular students would be those who share the shared history and culture of the current students. And they run these regular sessions to help them. I kicked off about 5 years ago, I kicked off a 3-year action research study, which just came to an end last year. And what we found was that PAL had the potential for so much more. It did improve their comprehension, but it also built their confidence and created a sense of community among them as well, among the students, especially those who felt that they were a little bit outside the kind of the social arena. It also gave them, the leaders of the community, a practice, and it enabled them to learn a subject that they found particularly difficult. The output of my study is what I'm proposing here could be used in any educational environment. And it starts off simply with create. And create is where the facilitator, i.e. me, the lecturer, creates a timetable, links into the course material, and sets the environment for the PAL to implement. The second stage then is to cultivate. And what the findings suggested was that if you select the right leaders with the right language skills as well, that matches into the culture of the students, they can be very effective. By giving them technology, they create community of practices. And they also they embody the model student that you want our students to emulate, the current students to emulate. This goes on then to the congregate area then. So congregate is where we give them the to meet. It's a safe environment for them to share their thoughts and share their experiences. And those experiences that they share with each other, it helps them understand the hidden curriculum. So in other words, what is the unspoken rules of college and what's ahead of them as well. That's the near peer experience that comes into play here. The last section, consolidating this model, is where the learning begins. At this point, I, as the lecturer, pretty much take a step back and they begin to share advice. They start sharing their learning, and if you take it from a more kind of study point of view, as a social constructivist way of thinking, but pretty much they learn and they share and they help each other. They build a sense of community at this point. And what happens is they begin to understand the course material better. But what comes out of this and what our findings have suggested, that it also increases motivation because their confidence is increasing. And it also gives them a support structure that carries on way past the PAL session through technology. By equipping the PAL leaders with technology and equipping the students with technology, they can share outside through mobile space as well. So the model that I'm proposing here is a low-cost model. It can be implemented anywhere, and it's also self-sustaining. Anywhere where there's a traditionally difficult subject that needs to be challenged for students. This self-sustaining model, what we discovered was that if we use peer leaders and bring them back as supervisors in the following year, the actual need for lecturers to intervene is a lot lower. And what it does also for the PAL leaders as well, it builds strong leaders that actually advise and help you create new content into the program as well. So I believe I've only about 10 seconds left, so I'm going to step back before I'm thrown out again. Thank you very much, folks.
Well done, Nevin. A round of applause. You actually were well under the time, so I'd say for a newbie, you've done particularly well. And actually, that looks a really, really interesting model. So very, very well done. And I see there that Barry Ryan and Francis Boylan threw you under a bus and let you do it to take me on. So I see that. So
thank you.
Yeah.
What about Barry?
Okay, so our final one of this session, we're going to take a break after this. Well, not a break, but hand back to Paul. So it's Jane O'Kelly, and she's talking about something which is particularly dear to my heart: the FE sector. So the professional identity in the FE sector. Okay, so she's okay. So, okay, I will just get everybody lined up and set up and ready to go. As I said, I'll just keep it nice and handy. We'll just go back to our straightforward Hando, Tricard, Cui, Gasta, and then we'll get a bit more inventive then after these four. Are we ready, everybody? Jane, if you're ready as soon as we get going on the Gasta. Hands up. Hain.
A
tree. A
car.
A cui.
Gasta. Hi, everybody. Lovely to meet you. I'm Jane O'Kelly from DCU, and I work in further education and training in a research centre and on an initial teacher education course. So we're going to talk to you today about a module that myself and colleagues across the forum is developing on professional identity for teaching in FET. So for those of you who aren't familiar with FET, I just have some little graphs here from Solus, from DEFRUS, the acronym, our new lovely department, and showing you here the kind of comparison between FET learners and higher education learners. And you can see that there's a big switch there between full-time and part-time, almost reversed in the amount of learners in the further education sector and in the higher education sector. You can see also that the SUSI grant isn't used a lot in FET because for the most part, adult and community education and FET is subsidised already. But you can also see that there's nearly equivalence of learners with disabilities across further education and training. So it's a wide and very diverse sector that deals with a wide variety of adults and people within it. You can also see that the FET sector kind of serves better the traveller community as well. And often people coming through, new Irish, new people for literacy, for English speakers or other languages, the prison service, the recovery services, lifelong learning and people developing their potential through education, as well as our apprenticeship piece. So Solus has developed two strategies in the last 10, 12 years, and it's looking at levels 1 to 6 in the QQI framework. And it's been divided now into foundation skills 1 and 2, bridging 3 and 4, and then 2 kind of progression routes for levels 5 and 6. And again, a little graphic there from Solus showing the wide diversity of programs and initiatives in FET. So you can see how we love it, and we love working in this area, working with very dedicated teachers. So this is what this is about. There's been a big change in FET back in 2011, 2012, when FOSS was dissolved and SOLAS came through. And now we have these key players and stakeholders of SOLAS, DEFRAS, the ETBI and QQI influencing what happens within further education and training. And actually, I'd like to call it a domain to have the same status and understanding of the other pillars of education in terms of early childhood, primary, post-primary and higher education. So then wham, the Teaching Council entered the fray within FET, and they were talking about the payment of teachers, really, that they had to be registered if they were working in recognised schools under Section 30 of the Act. So they developed a route called Route 3. So in terms of Route 3, there was already a HEI FET forum set up by the IVA back in 2012, so we're hitting our 10-year anniversary. But this forum brings together the 8 HEIs that came together to create initial teacher education programs for this Route 3. And it's been a wonderful convergence of understanding of ethos, of values, of expertise. And you can see the variety of institutes of technology, teaching colleges, NCAD, universities, WIT coming together with their equal specialisms and expertise, literacy and community education, work-based learning, art in the community arts. It's a wonderful forum to be a part of. But what we're looking at is FET practitioners, and there isn't an agreement around the terminology as to what a teacher in FET is. So we have lots of text there from lots of policy that influences this area. But you can see that in terms of the skills profile in FET, about 72% of the workforce is teaching. And also that SOLAS is looking at an FET College of the Future and what that role of that teacher will be. And ETBI has been charged with that responsibility. The Teaching Council recognises that teachers in FET have a very big focus on the learner-teacher relationship, and that comes from lots of philosophies and ideologies, include Freirean approaches. And it's really more like our approach in higher education. So in professional identity, there is a huge amount of theory and research going back a century probably for teachers, but for FET, who is the FET teacher? We don't really know. So we thought we might ask them and see if we could bring them into a module that we're going to devise, which is going to be 10 credits. We're working on it at the moment. We hope to pilot it in the spring 2022. We're going to ask the practitioner, absolutely centered to this particular module, looking at these themes of identity, professionalization, if they want professionalization, going through dialogue and discussion and workshops, and looking at that identity versus self-identity and the identity of the teacher. What is that? Do they want it? What kind of model could we develop together? It's an exciting area to be working in, and we'd love to hear from any of you who are interested in this too. And we invite you to contact us through the forum and through my contact details here. Thank you.
I was just about to pull the trigger. Well done, Jen. Well done. Round of applause. That was absolute perfection. Absolute perfection. And really good and really important. Really good. Listen, I won't delay. I'm going to hand back to Professor Paul McSweeney. So back to you down in Cork, Paul.
That's great indeed, and thanks very much, and thanks to all of our speakers for keeping so well for time, even though I suspect that it might have ruined Tom's enjoyment of pulling the trigger on all of you. But thanks also for the great interaction in the chat. That was great to see that going on. One that really jumped out for me, though, was the comment from Martina Crehan inviting Tom to chair all of the meetings in her institution, which I would second on that. I'd say Maggie Cusack might be worried there, Tom, I'd say. So anyway, moving on a little bit, and thanks to our 4 speakers. What we have now is the Video Scholarship Poster Showcase number 2, I'm told. I believe number 1 was on Wednesday's Scholarship Hour, which unfortunately I didn't see because I was on a train down from Dublin at that time. But as part of our focus on teaching and learning scholarship during Vital Week, we put out a call for contributions for our poster showcase. And I think we had about 70 submissions made. And now we're delighted to bring you the second poster showcase. All the posters showcased are available in full on our poster gallery on the National Forum website, teachingandlearning.ie/vital. So you're more than welcome to have a look at that. So I believe somebody somewhere in the world will press a button now and we will see a video. Thanks. Wow, that was pretty impressive, wasn't it, Tom? It really, over 70 posters. It
Very
kind
impressive.
of really underlines what I said earlier about an enabling culture. We really are building a great culture of teaching and learning in higher education in the country now at this stage. I was really struggling to keep up there. I was trying to make a few notes with such an amazing variety of subjects, design thinking, digital skills, libraries, so much going on there. Even T-Rex, which jumped out at me, and then I looked down and it was gone by the time I came up again. So well done on that one. And it'd be great actually if we could get a word cloud of all of the things on this, just giving a sense of the totality. So that's a wonderful thing. So, okay, Tom, I think it's back over to you for the last leg of our Gasta Marathon. So Tom, over to you.
Thanks very much, Paul. Yes, I share that. I mean, 70 posters there, which represents an awful lot of brilliant work out there. So anyway, moving back down, and we're going to move down to some colleagues of mine in Munster Technological University, Catherine Murphy, Siobhan Creedon, Geraldine Doyle and Violetta Morari. And I understand this Geraldine is going to be doing the presentation on the REACH academic mentoring. So if Geraldine is there, and I think, I'm familiar with the project myself, and I think it's very easy for people often be thrown in the deep end, particularly over the last 18 months. So anything which can provide a bit of help and mentoring support is to be very, very welcome. Okay, so we'll start raising the bar a bit now. So we're going to go from Cuig down to the Hain this time. I won't ask you to move side by side because I don't want any cognitive overload. We're not doing high flex teaching just yet, but we're going to go from the Cuig all the way down. So are we ready, everybody? Get the hands up there. You're at have 5 minutes to sit down. Are we ready? Cuig.
Cuig.
Three. A do. A Hain.
Gasta.
My name is Geraldine Doyle, and I'm presenting today on behalf of the REACH team at MTU, Siobhan Creedon, Dr. Violetta Morari, Catherine Murphy, together with Maurice Birmingham, Roisin O'Grady, and Will Carey. So REACH was born out of the COVID emergency, created by Maurice, and this is the second year of REACH at MTU. Extensive research by the What Works team in the UK found that student retention and success was largely dependent, that basically the human side of higher education was very important. And that's been a big factor in shaping our approach to academic mentoring. CUSIO found that undergraduates appreciated academic advisors who were approachable, knowledgeable and accessible. And that also has helped shape our approach. So the REACH academic mentoring is embedded and mainstream. 80 AMs appointed by heads of department look after 3,500 first and second year mentees across 6 campuses. The AM role has been defined as having providing academic support, relationship building, which we see as being very important, and signposting to our various services around the university. AM support then for the AMs is provided through the REACH team. We have workshops, weekly drop-in coffee sessions, a fortnightly digest with information, and we keep our objective is to keep a two-way channel of communication going. Collegiate support has been really important between the AMs, ourselves, sharing resources and experiences. I suppose the focus of the second year has been the collaboration with our student services, learning more ourselves about them and how we can integrate with each other. Resources which have been important have been the Canvas module developed by TEL and the website developed with TLU. And also we have the Teams channel with our resources, and then also we provide the opportunity for our AMs to complete coaching in higher education, which is the EMCC Foundation course in coaching. Review of the program is obviously very important for continuous learning, and with some external input from Dr. Emily McIntosh has helped to us to continue to improve and develop the program. So what's REACH like in action? Email has been important, obviously, and we found even that a named email to students can be quite impactful. The next one around there, Canvas, the Canvas module for sharing information and sharing communication, arranging one-to-one sessions. Then we have Zoom sessions group and one-to-one, for example, around exam results, that kind of thing. Guest lecturers have come in and students have been invited to that. And now in the current blended environment, there may be an opportunity for some one-to-one sessions, face-to-face. Topics that have come have been motivation, mental and physical health, workload and time management, remote learning, working at home, and the other topics you can see there. What's the impact been of REACH? A survey carried out by Student Engagement found 95% of the mentees who engaged were satisfied, which is very important because the literature found that a negative personal tutoring experience does more damage than none at all. And the themes that the mentees reported were around reassurance and support, clarity and motivation. And also they mentioned that sometimes it was nice to know the mentors were there if they needed them. They may not have engaged, but they knew they were there, which was reassuring. Academic mentors themselves, 89% reported that it impacted them with greater student focus and empathy, greater knowledge of our student services, and also recognition for perhaps work they've been doing already, but in this in a more formal environment way. The findings from a qualitative research were that academic mentoring model is both caring and takes a coaching approach at MTU, that the attributes self-identified by the AMs are similar to those reported as being the most important for personal tutoring, as in empathy, understanding, non-judgmental, approachability, and even in some cases been reported knowing the student's name. The AMs reported feeling supported in their role, which is also important because, again, the literature would report that sometimes AMs might feel thrown in or being expected to know what to do, and that can be negative for them as well or stressful. These are our references, and we would welcome anybody to contact us who wishes us to. Our contact details are here, our email address. This is the student, the website with some more information. And finally, we might like to make a big shout out to our 80 great mentors, all of our mentees and the student services whom we have worked with closely over the last year and a bit to make this program possible. Thank you very much.
Well done, Geraldine. Perfect timing again. So well done, and never an easy process there like that. So yeah, that was very well done. And so I won't delay because I continue to keep talking about watching the world. So we're going to stay in Leinster at the moment, and we're going to have Dr. Gwen Moore from Mary Immaculate College presenting on flexible pathways to professional development. So as I said, we're upping the cognitive load now. We're going to go left again. So Claire is all set. Us, once again, we're counting down as well. So we're starting to the left on the Cuig, coming down. I can see this here, but this is really important. It's important that we're also students at the same time, just to remind ourselves that they also have to learn. Okay, are we ready before we kick off? Cuig. A car. A tree. A doe. A hen.
Gasta. Greetings from Limerick. So not Leinster at all there, Tom.
I said Munster.
You said Munster. Well, Leinster originally, Munster afterwards. So greetings everyone from Limerick. I'm delighted to share some of the impact and findings from the Flexible Pathways project. This was funded under the Strategic Enhancement Fund in 2018. And as you can see, with 3 different partners involved, University of Limerick and LIT now TUS. Delighted that I can see my colleague, Dr. Mary Fitzpatrick, is also here with us today, and also huge tribute to all of the colleagues listed there on the cover slide and more who've played an enormous role in the project. So what did we do and why did we do it? We realized that in terms of professional development, flexibility is needed, that a one-size-fits-all approach in terms of formal PD doesn't work for all staff, and that is generally suited to kind of junior staff members. And of course, the perennial issue of a lack of time being a significant barrier in terms of staff being able to access professional development and also allocate time to it on top of all of their other duties. So we had 2 key aims. One was to embed the PD framework in a variety of contexts. As I mentioned, we had university at the time, IoT, and a college. And if we could do it in this context, we could do it nationally. And second, to design flexible learning pathways for all teaching staff. So 2 simple but challenging aims. So how did we go about doing it? The first stage was to conduct a needs analysis, to review international models around this whole area, and then also to conduct further research. So on to the research and then a mixed methods approach. So what did we do? We surveyed staff across the region. We were delighted that we got an approximately 20% staff response rate. And again, this was hard to ascertain and judge given the multiple different staff that we know are in higher education, including part-time and so on. So 366 respondents across the region responded, and I'll talk in a little while about where we can find that data. In terms of the actual interviews that we did, follow-up interviews, we were delighted that we had findings from a range of different roles and perspectives across the teaching profession. So we had those who were working in professional services, in addition to lecturing staff, part-time and full-time, heads of departments, deans, directors, professors, and so on. And a range of experience, so that it wasn't just junior staff, as you can see here, or early career personnel. We had a range of different years of experience. What did they tell us? Well, no surprise, they're busy people. They needed flexibility through blended and online modules, aligned to work-based learning. So it is harnessing what they already do, and I guess capitalizing on that so it doesn't exacerbate workload. That it should be appropriately rewarded and recognized by the institution, particularly depending on the level of the career progression and so on, that it's still important that it's rewarded and recognized. That aligned to a career progression pathway is important, and also to model good practice so that learners can learn in situ and learn from best practice. So what was the impact, and what did we do? Well, we already had across the region a graduate diploma in teaching, learning and scholarship. And so that has adapted and moved to a blended format to make it more accessible to students. Also at MIC, we created a new graduate certificate, which was open-ended, evidence through e-portfolio. And again, it's very much around the whole idea of evidencing learning as they go and work-based. We have had heads of department, lecturing staff and TEL staff involved. And at TUS, there were special purpose awards created. So in terms of impact, we have produced a range of useful documents. So we have a mentoring guide. We also actually had peer observation as well, a guide there. We do have an OER around an introduction to the PD framework. We have reports and also peer-reviewed articles there that I can share with you again. The website flexipath.he.ie is hosted by the National Forum. Thanks to the National Forum for that. And you can find more information there. In sum, so we wanted to create flexible PD for all staff who teach in a variety of different contexts. We wanted to validate and harness informal, what staff do already in terms of their peers, to recognize and reward scholarship of teaching and learning, and to empower transformative learning by modeling best practice in inclusive design. Gurmila Mahagav.
Well done, Gwen. And apologies if I had that Freudian Leinster slip. Apologies there. I got so excited there. But well done. I was about to pull the trigger. I think now that we're getting very close to the finishing line, I think he's really pushing the bounds right to the nth degree. So no, well done. Great project there. Some great people involved there. So really lovely to see that, especially to my old master's alma mater there in Mary I. Okay, so the entire Gasta week from another teacher education place, moving up to Dublin to Marino Institute of Education, is going to be the person who's actually going to break through the finishing tape. We're going to have a talk from Dr. Amy Brennan on student-staff partnership as professional development in higher education. And so it's just sort of, it's interesting now that we're about to break through. So I think now at this stage we are going to have to do the up and down and counting back in Irish. Now, Gerardo Sullivan, I was talking to him this morning, and he suggested I am doing this every day just to check. Are some people actually still wearing jog pants or pajama bottoms, and that's why we're getting up and down. And no, it's also to get the legs, it's to get the blood flowing there. And it's really important to finish the Gasta Marathon on a high. And so I want people to really get going here and bring Amy home there. She's coming down, the wobbling here. It's like that 1912 marathon there, and the person's having to be helped over the line. Okay, so we're going to go up on the Cuig, down on the Cahir, and so on. Are we all ready? A Cuig, a Cahir, a tree, a dome, a hain, Gasta.
Thanks so much, Tom. No pressure there. God, as if it's not high pressured enough. It's lovely to be here. My name is Amy Brennan. I'm the head of Department of Policy and Practice in Marino, and I'm also coordinator of the STEER project. If you haven't heard of it, it's Student Teacher Educational Research, and that's really what I want to talk to you about today. It's based on some of the key messages from a chapter I published recently on developing student-staff partnership in higher education and the potential of that for professional development. So I developed the STEER project in partnership with students actually back in 2017. And we run a national conference, we run a peer-reviewed e-journal, and we run a podcast series. And the project overall is aimed at helping final year students of education, student teachers, to share their dissertation research with their peers and with others, with teachers in schools. So the project only works because there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of work involved, but it's run in collaboration with a team of volunteers who are students and who are staff that work with me. And that team changes every year. So it's probably, as a project and something to be part of, it's had the most impact on my own practice. And when I started to get involved with the project and I started to develop it and start writing about it, and exploring the scholarship, I suppose, in relation to partnership, what I found was a lot of the benefits for students have been really well documented, but there's a lot less evidence or emphasis on the benefits of partnership for the lecturers, for the educators that are involved. So I just want to talk to you very briefly about some of the key kind of messages or the impacts on my practice and the other staff that are involved in the project. So some of the key impacts on teaching and learning, like what I found is that it's really highlighted the capacity of students to contribute. And it's raised expectations of us as lecturers. You know, it's the expectation that we will listen and engage and respect and engage in dialogue with students, and also raised expectations of what students can do, what they can contribute, how much knowledge and skill they actually have and they're bringing to the table. And we needed, in order for the partnership to work, we needed to respect each other, to work together, to trust each other, to act on feedback, which all sounds quite simple maybe, but actually it's really difficult to develop and build and maintain. So I became really aware of the relationship piece in teaching and learning, and it's definitely impacted on my teaching as well as on the development of the project. Of course, there are lots of challenges when you're running a partnership project or when you're involved in a student-staff partnership, some in relation to the roles and the power dynamics, but actually probably the most impactful challenges were around managing uncertainty and risk involved in kind of handing over or trusting a group of volunteers or students with something that's really valuable to you, and hoping that they will take responsibility for their role in it and that they will really want the project to be a success. So there was a lot of work in navigating that, which has influenced, again, my own practice and the practice of the lecturers that have been involved in the project. The other thing is that it was really important, and this is something that has definitely come from the project, is that it's really important to scaffold students when they're involved in a partnership, that you start with training and building capacity first before you start working towards empowerment and giving them responsibility, so that the more confident they feel, actually the more they will want to contribute, the more motivated they'll be. And that same principle has translated into teaching and learning as well, I suppose. So the last point that I'm going to just leave you with is to say that while I am most certainly an advocate for partnership, and I think we really need to prioritize student-staff partnership in higher ed, particularly in teacher ed, it's also really hard work, and it's time intensive. It's much more emotionally intensive than maybe other projects. And there's relatively little incentive for staff to be involved and to put so much time and energy into projects like this. And I think we really need to consider the sustainability of student-staff partnership and try to embed it in our work in higher ed, and to recognise and reward the staff who do get involved. Students, of course, that they would be recognised as well, but that staff would equally have some reward or would be recognised or assessed, particularly in relation to promotion and tracks for tenure. Thank you, Tom. Okay.
Well done. I was once again. You're all pushing it right to the. Listen, I just want to say I've been absolutely blown away by people there. So well done, Amy. And you've just broken through the tape. The marathon is now finished. So as I said, I won't be accused of keeping the time going too much. So I'm gonna round of applause for Amy and for all of our Gastateers. I'm gonna hand straight back to you, Paul. Wow, can I just say, whoever made that video, brilliant, well done. Thank you very, very much, and thanks to everybody who's involved. Oh my God, that's brilliant. Thank you.
That's great, and thanks very much, Tom. I couldn't have put a better Dr. Laura Lee from UCC in the chat there, saying that you really smashed this week, and I would certainly agree with that. So a huge round of applause for our Gasta Master in Chief, Tom. Even though I must say that Freudian slip earlier of locating Mary I in Leinster, it just kind of proves to me that, you can take a Dublin man out of Dublin and put him into Kerry, but, it never quite works out. So well done again.
Chalk it down. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody.
So anyway, I suppose it's important that we remember why we're doing all of this, and we're doing all of this, everything, really for the benefit of our students. So I'm going to call now to one of our Student Associate Assembly members, Andrea Malloy, and Andrea is a student in IT Carlow, who might give us a brief summary of at least her reflections on the things that have come through in this session. And also to acknowledge Laura Keneally from this parish, who might be joining us in the chat for some of her thoughts. So over to the students.
Hi everybody. So I only have 2 minutes, so I wrote down some notes. I hope you can all hear me correctly. Yeah, perfect. So I'll start with Claire and your peer observation of teaching the Perfect project. I thought this was actually a really good initiative. Like the feedback would be great for new lecturers to get it from experienced ones, so that students would get the most from lectures early on. So if they have that peer mentor in there, they can kind of pick up on ideas and what way to start lesson plans and everything. So I thought that was really good. So that I will be looking going on to your observation there later on after this. Just going on to Derek Oakley, your placement of graduates. I loved your presentation, by the way. I loved the Ralph and the Homer Simpson there. The full access for jobs after college was really interesting to me. I think that'd be great for students. Maybe a recommendation would be to link it in with LinkedIn for students, because I know that as a platform we're all using nowadays, and I don't know if that was something that was brought up before. If I'm talking too fast, I'm really sorry. I just want to get everything in. But maybe that's just a suggestion for you to throw that in, so that you can link that in then with LinkedIn, so students can have that on their professional profile for employers. Nevin, so it's great to see other colleges with this PAL program, because we actually have that here in Carlow, and it's been here for a few years, and it's been great for, especially for first years coming in, to have a student that's a couple of years ahead of them, to help them kind of get into college and college life. So it is great to see that it is being rolled out in other colleges. Jane, I love this, because as somebody who went to an FET before I went on to HE, it is something that I don't think the lecturers in FETs are recognised as much as lecturers in HE. So I think this is absolutely brilliant. It gives them a professional identity, and it really strengthens it for them. So I think this is really fantastic. It is something that I definitely want to keep an eye on for future, because as I said, if it wasn't for the course I did in the FET, I wouldn't be here today doing my level A. So I really, really love that one. Catherine, I loved your one as well. I think COVID has brought out a lot of great programs for students. As horrible as it been for the past 2 years, academically, I think it has brought out a lot of great opportunities for students. And I love the student focus and the link with student services. And I think it will be great for students in the long run. So again, that's another one I plan to keep an eye on and hopefully see more of. Amy, your partnership with, I think this will help students with confidence when it comes to leaving higher education, because it's given them an opportunity within college to get heard and their opinions to be valued, and again to have discussions within college with their lecturers or other staff within the college, so that when they go into the work environment, it is something that they're familiar with and it's not daunting to them, especially for students that are going to college straight from secondary school, then college. It's not something they've experienced before, and it's something as a mature student, thankfully I have experience with, but for younger people, I think it's an absolutely fantastic opportunity. That's all I have. I think I covered everybody. I hope I did, and I hope I didn't go too fast for everybody, but it's absolutely fantastic today. I wish I was able to come to more throughout the week, but it was absolutely brilliant, and well done everybody. I can't wait to look over and research more what you guys are doing and get some more information on it.
That's great, and thanks, Andrea, and thanks to Laura in the chat. Laura Keneally, by the way, I mixed up with another Laura. I wasn't sure which. There's obviously more than one Laura in UCC. Who would have guessed? But anyway, thanks very much, Laura Keneally in the chat, and Andrea. And yes, Andrea, I think definitely my experiences here as well in the PAL scheme was amazingly valuable. My own background is in food science, and once we introduced a PAL scheme in first year chemistry, the failure rates just fell off the cliff, which was really fantastic. And it was great as well that you acknowledged the further education pathways from further education into higher education. So thanks very much for that. So my time here is nearly coming to a close at this stage. I suppose it's great to see that our students are in such safe hands with all the wonderful things that we've seen today. And I suppose, first of all, again, thanks to our Gasta Master, Tom, in the background, and thanks to everyone in the National Forum for such a wonderful session. I mean, I think National Forum events are getting a reputation of being very well organized and very slick, so well done on that. But I must say it's been huge fun for me to chair this today. The fun won't stop for me, by the way. My next Vital Week event, which started 4 minutes ago actually, is Academic Integrity Bingo in person across campus, so I'll be going to that in a few seconds. So thanks to everyone, thanks to Terry, and just to remind everyone as well that Vital Weeks actually lasts a month, so please do check out the Vital calendar for the rest of the month. So with that, I'll hand over now to Terry. Over to you, Terry. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Paul. Thank you. And thank you to all the speakers today. If you just hold with us just for a few minutes, we're just going to close out Vital Week. And it's incredible that the week is coming to a close. I couldn't believe that it started, and then it's been like a roller coaster all week. And now we're at the last few minutes. But I do feel that was a great opportunity to celebrate the commitment of so many people to enhancing teaching and learning in Ireland. I think the one thing that came really through is the breadth and depth of work that's actually happening. And I suppose we also saw the innovation and the research that's been ongoing in recent years. I have to say that our Student Associate Assembly has played a blinder all week. Thank you all to all of you for all the contributions that you have made. I'd like to thank the Minister, the Board and our partners, my own team, the poster designers, the Gasta presenter, the Gasta Master himself, our fellows, all the contributors to our videos and to our mini documentary, the event organisers across the country, and all of you who've taken the time to participate in Vital Week. As you know, we had Esther working with us all week to take some illustrations of what happened. So quickly, I'll show you some of Esther's illustrations of what happened day by day during the week. It's not moving on. I'm sorry. Oh, yes, it is. They're trying to give you the opportunity to have a quick read of some of the statements. As you know, our next steps was our big face-to-face event during the week. For those of you that weren't able to join us, just to let you know that the Next Steps report from the National Sectoral Partnership is available on the website. But along with the report, there are also a series of a collection of insights that have been developed by each of the partners that look at the particular context within which they're situated. And I think there'll be a tremendous resources for all of the institutions. So I'd ask you to go and have a look at them. As well, on the last week, as you know, we had the Gasta Master. He did all his entertainment during the day, but Esther also captured some of the talks as we went through. Today's ones will be available later on this evening, so we'll circulate them on social media. So just to remind everybody that the recordings for the Scholarship Hour are available on the National Forum website. We also have a series called Voices from the Sector, where we featured different videos and different inputs each day. I'd urge you to have a listen to some of them, and we'll continue that over the coming weeks to the end of November. We've also a number of podcasts available. The first podcasts are from our fellows, talking to an expert about their research and discussing it with them. And after seeing all the posters today, can I just remind you that the poster gallery is there. We'll keep it live certainly until the end of the week, and then we'll put the posters into our resource hub so that they'll be available for everybody to access later on. And there's lots more happening. It's an Irish week. It extends, as Paul said, to the 30th of November. So to have a look at some of the other events that are happening to the end of the month, and to sign up for any ones that interest you. But we have one task for the Gasta Master to do before we leave. Tom, are you there?
Indeed, I've just been sitting there, and well done. I mean, that's tremendous work, and I look forward to looking at the posters and looking at the graphics there. So yeah, well done. So look, I just wanted very quickly, I put myself on a timer, wanted to really thank everybody. First of all, behind the scenes in the National Forum has done a great job. Thanks for the invitation from Perry and Lynn to be involved and be the Gasta Master. The 26 people who ran the marathon, as I said, not easy to keep them to times. And as I said, I think the inventiveness and responsiveness of staff and students in the last year and a half in particular has been amazing. And hopefully I have certainly challenged some of that deficit of sort of that online education is some sort of how a deficit. And I hope that we take some great lessons and give everybody a pat on the back for what's gone on for the last 18 months in particular. I wanted to finish with something deep and pithy, or maybe something from a great thinker, a poet, or a great educationalist, where I said, you know what, for myself, I'm actually going to finish with my own quote here. So I'll just put it up here. Sharing, teaching, and learning practice and insight is important at any time, all the more so in these challenging times, but it doesn't mean we can't have the crack while doing it. Thanks and well done, everybody.
Thank you, Tom. Now, Tom, you'll be pleased to hear that we couldn't get the medal to you, right? But all of our new Gastateers will receive this unique trophy that they will use with pride, hopefully.
Excellent. Brilliant. Well
helping
done.
you to get through this marathon. All Gastateers will be in contact with you to get your details. If you would like to get your trophy, we'll send it out to you. So unique, Tom, unique.
Brilliant. Well done. Well done.
Don't go away for 1 second now, Tom, because for our final student, we have asked one of our Student Associate Assembly to reflect on the whole week. But we've challenged Laura Kennedy, we've challenged her to do it in 5 minutes.
Oh.
And so, Tom, we've got it. One final task. Laura, no pressure.
Laura,
Thanks,
okay.
Terry. I'm not going to be able to do it, Tom. I'm not going to pretend I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm going to share my screen because I do actually have, because I know it wasn't expected of me, but I don't like doing things by half. It's just not in my nature. So I'm going to share my screen.
Well, do you want your countdown? We'll give it a go anyway.
I'm going to give the countdown anyway. Yeah, just because, just for giggles at this point now. See, can I do a...
Well, look, okay. Brilliant. And can I just say very quickly, all the student rapporteurs this week have done an amazing job. So they all deserve a round of applause. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. I really mean really great piece of work. Okay, so I won't get you up and down. We'll just go left and right. But we'll do, and you know what, we'll keep it handy. We'll just go head out 3 car Cuig and then shout Gasta. But Laura, you are a student. I want to include you. It's important. So I'll be as mean to you as I am to everybody else. That's inclusiveness. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's finest.
We're going to start off on the left. Are we ready?
Hey. A 3.
A
Cuig.
Right, bring it on. Okay, hi everybody, I'm Laura. I'm going to skip the introduction because I have so much that I want to cover. So we hit it up at Monday. So we have Professor Frank Cotton, who really showed us why we value teaching and learning and why it's vital. He placed value on the perspective of all stakeholders and emphasized that the student voices are absolutely integral. He showed us about the economic value of teaching and learning and wanted us to reflect on what we can bring to the table for policymakers. And he did harp home about the partnership between institutions, educators, and students to continue the pathway of evidence for success. Geraldine O'Neill discussed the barriers and solutions to emerging assessment challenges and struck a balance between authenticity and consistency that I think sits with all of us now. Support for both on-campus and off-campus learning, preparing students for life after academia, if there is such a thing, and students' autonomy in their own assessment as well. The Gasta messages included ones of reflection, competence-based knowledge acquisition, and supportive learning and literacy. On to Tuesday, Dr. Becker's Teaching and Learning for the Next Era of Digital Innovation showed us that the lessons can be transferred between disciplines, and this is also vital. It showed that we need digitally fluent graduates and need to create a digitally universal system to support accessibility for all. Key points from the other speakers, the OER would support richer educational experience. Tom, I know you love that one. Gatekeeping research is a direct violation of its core purpose. Providing alternative approaches to learning can ultimately only boost our understanding and knowledge, and implementation of practices needs to be done with students in partnership in order to drive success, for example, with teaching empathy and virtual assisted learning. The Gasta messages included that of student collaboration, learning in a digital space, beyond classroom learning, and enhanced learning opportunities for all. We hit the hump day on Wednesday with Dervla Kalan breathing new life into historic anatomic teaching. It's important for students to learn about the past for context for the future learning in the disciplines. Learning from mistakes can only support our growth of knowledge. Self-directed and online learning have benefits for such disciplines and beyond. Sandra Nicholson discussed authentic teaching on interpreting animal emotions. It again emphasized the importance of student engagement, and there sometimes can be missed signals in lectures, and students will only benefit from non-ambiguity. Gasta messages included those to choose and communicate simple to more complex ways to communicate to students. Use of video learning in cross disciplines, huge advantages for active versus passive learning. Integrating student well-being into the institution boosts both success and thriving academia.
The added bonus of flexibility from online learning is something that we can all take away from COVID at this point, I think. So that's was some of the messages from Wednesday. Thursday, we had Chris Lynch talking about professional bodies and the demands for competencies. We know that it's important to embed soft skills into the curriculum, and noticing that skills can prove more important than the discipline itself. For example, those of trustworthiness and reliability. Also, it gave us food for thought on how do we assess good people through an exam format. So I'm going to leave that with you. Fanula Derby looked at the diversity project and improved research and literacy skills, and enhanced for us that making one positive change can enhance your whole content tenfold. The Gasta messages including boosting critical thinking and the importance of feedback, technology and self-directed study are a powerful partnership, COVID-19 and positive impacts on assessment, see, it wasn't all bad, and the importance of skill building. And then we have today, Professor Paul McSweeney concluding the chair address and giving us more to think about in terms of that teaching and learning thrives in an enabled culture. I love that one, Paul. Let's continue to share ideas, keep the knowledge sharing at the forefront of our experience in Ireland's teaching and learning. The legend that is Dr. Tom Farrelly and his Gasta final. He did honestly want us to all contact people if you're interested in contributing to their research and use this opportunity to continue networking. It doesn't end today, like we said, it's like Black Friday, it's just the gift that keeps on giving. Peer observation of teaching and learning as a collaborative effort, e-portfolios in promoting work placement success, importance of peer-assisted learning and the methods in which to action it effectively, the importance of professional identity, taking positive responses from COVID-19, flexibility in professional development is crucial, student and staff partnership will only continue to boost professional development and promote an enabled culture like Professor McSweeney has already highlighted us to today. So that's the Gasta messages from today's events. And just for my own final thoughts, I suppose from this week, we can see that it's abundantly clear we have much to value in teaching and learning in higher education and further education. Student educator institution partnership will be crucial to progression. Improvements aren't linear. We will always make mistakes, but what's important is our response to adversity, like with COVID-19. Gasta Marathons are awesome for showcasing the amazing diversity of knowledge and research available. And I feel happy to think that I'll graduate next year with all these amazing people working towards making my future and that of other graduates brighter. So I just want to thank everybody who contributed this week and all the student associate panel who sent me their notes so I can make this presentation. And yeah, that's it. Thanks everybody for listening.
Oh my God, Laura.
Unreal.
Oh, unreal. Can people give her a massive, do you know something? I've never done this as a Gasta Master. I'm just going to go.
Oh, thank you.
Well
I'll
done.
take that.
Laura,
I'll take
you
that.
should, if you had a mic, you should go boom.
I'll
Paul
drop
McSweeney, you have, I tell you, she's a
sweating.
credit to your parish. I'm telling you, man, that is absolutely, seriously impressive. I'm truly in awe and really was. And I'm delighted you reiterated that message. Please, as I say, this is only a start of it. Get in touch with people and share the messages. So listen, well done to you and to everybody who took part. I'll now stop and I'll hand back.
Thanks a million, Tom. And Laura, welcome as our new Gasta tier. We'll have your trophy on its way to you. Don't worry. So just the final, before I hand over to our chair to finish, just those of you that know me know that perhaps there's a little bit of a wee Republican in me somewhere in the middle of my heart. But I do have a favourite quote from Winston Churchill, which, as it happened, he said 79 years ago this week. He said, "Now this is not the end, it is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning." So as we reach the end of our beginning, I urge you to continue to value teaching and learning and to help people around you to understand why it matters so deeply. It's only through a valued and informed teaching and learning culture in Irish higher education that student success is possible. So it gives me great pleasure now to hand over to the Chair of the National Forum, Dr. Lynn Ramsey, to say the final words. Lynn.
Thank you so much, Terry. What a closing event and what a week. I was privileged to be with you all at the start of the week from Donegal and got to be with you in person on what now we know is Hump Day from Laura. And then the Next Steps launch in person in Dublin on Wednesday, and now I'm back in Donegal to say the concluding remarks. Terry has thanked everyone who took part and contributed, and it falls to me to say some final thanks and some final reflections on behalf of the board. So on behalf of the board, I really wish to express my sincere thanks to everyone who's contributed to the success of Vital Week. it's not over. The week will continue, as you know, until the end of the month. Please join on hashtag NFVital. There's a series of podcasts, resources, and so on the website. But really, it falls to me on behalf of everyone in higher education to thank the director of the National Forum, Dr. Terry Maguire, and the National Forum team. This has been a hugely successful week. The director and team's passion and commitment to teaching and learning in higher education is evident in everything that you do and has been nothing short of inspirational this week. VITAL has really been a celebration of the transformational role of teaching and learning in higher education. So I want to wish everyone who works and studies in higher education continued success, and we'll continue to collaborate to enhance teaching and learning in Irish education. Stay vital, everyone, and have a really good weekend, and enjoy the rest of the VITAL month. Best of luck and have a good weekend. And please rest the National Forum team for the weekend.